Good evening, believers. How are you doing today? Hopefully, you can find me because Facebook won't let me post that I was getting ready to go live, but I am here. This is Love Coach Dasha. I am here for the Healing Hour Live. I hope everybody can see me. Let me make sure that I am popping up on your screen. Okay. Hello. Hey, Lou, I see you over there on Instagram. Hey there, girl. All right. I see myself on Facebook. Okay. All right. Just making sure I'm showing up everywhere. Okay, dokie. All right. Let's see. Got that? All right. Fabulous. How are you doing today? I hope that you're doing well. If you have not met me before, I am Love Coach Dasha, and I am here to help you down the healing path after infidelity. You have been cheated on. You have been through a trauma, but you still love your honey. You still love who you are with, and you would like for the relationship to work out anyway, in spite of, hey, Carrie Ann, in spite of the fact that they have cheated. You want to work things out. You want things to be okay. You like the person that you're with. You love this person that you're with, and you want things to be all right. So I am here to tell you that that's perfectly fine, and you can do it. I know for sure that you can do it because I have done it. I am about 15 years, almost 15 years past the last D-Day, not the first, but the last. And we are much better off than we were even before all the cheating happened. We are doing well. We are happy. We are trusting. We just got our new place. You know, I've been struggling trying to find a new place for the last few months. Just found a new place. So we are doing well. I know for sure that you can get to the place where you're doing well. I just want you to be able to work on it. I want to show you what's going on. Carrie Ann says it's not showing up on Facebook, but I see it on Facebook. I see it. Oh, I don't know what happened. Facebook wasn't letting me post. Refresh the page and see if it'll pop up. Because I was trying to direct everybody to the link, but Facebook wouldn't let me post. It just brought up the thing, where it shows you that you can make a post, but it wouldn't actually make a post. Here, let's see. Let's see if it'll do it now. No, it won't let me do it now either. But I can see me on Facebook, so hopefully. Okay, hey Sienna. Sienna's got me on Facebook. Yeah, try and refresh it one time and see if it will pop up. It should be over there. Hey Astrid, Angela, how are y'all doing? Let me open this up. So I was trying to direct everybody to the link. Sound. There we go. I don't need. Okay. I don't know what happened with that, but let me open this up so I can see. If you have never done this, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and allow me to see you on my StreamYard screen so I can actually keep up with all the comments at the same time, because there's a lot of comments these days, all right? Want to be able to make sure I can talk to everybody, keep up with everybody. Hey, Ebony, how you doing? Peggy, you're here too. Carrie, you found it. All right, fabulous. We are doing the thing right now. All right, wonderful. All right, yeah, I don't know why it won't let me post. Usually I do a post and okay, 3, 2, 1, but it just says create a post and it won't let me actually write anything. But that's okay. We're everywhere. We got this. All right. So we're going to start off like we normally start off. Start off with the major things that are very, very basic. Your deep breathing and your journaling. Have you been doing your deep breathing? Have you been doing your journaling? If not, you are doing yourself a disservice. You need to be doing these things. These are top things that you can be doing to start to heal trauma. You need all the healing that you can get. So we need to be working on the simplest things that we can possibly do all by ourselves in order to heal. All right. So that's what I always present you with. So you don't have to always focus on him fixing you. It gets frustrating, it gets irritating, and honestly, he doesn't have the power to do that. So we need to be able to work on the stuff that is going to start to help us, start to calm us, start to center us, start to make us feel better all by ourselves. All right. So the first things are your deep breathing and your journaling. Let me make sure. There we go. I can see. All right. All right, so the first thing is doing our deep breathing. We're going to do our deep breathing together. We're going to do it 3 times, but on a day-to-day basis, I want you to be doing this 5 times a day, okay? I want you to be doing this consistently, because if you're not, you're letting the anxiety kind of ratchet up every day. You're never like pulling it back down to a manageable level. So that's what we're going to be doing, is trying to get that anxiety down to a manageable level with our deep breathing, all right? So what we do is 4-7-8 breathing. You're going to blow out. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold that breath for a count of 7. And then we're going to blow out like we're blowing out a whole cake full of birthday candles for a count of 8. If you smoke, if you've never done this before, it may be a little bit difficult the first time, maybe even the second time. But by the third time, you should have it. All right. So we're going to get together. Everybody ready? All right. I'm going to blow out. Inhale through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. How do you feel when you do your deep breathing? Tell me about it. It should feel a little bit relieving. It should feel like you are a little tired, maybe. You might get a little sleepy. You might yawn. You might feel a little bit more energized. You might feel like your brain has a little bit of oxygen. You can think a little bit clearer. So either way, whether it calms you down or focuses you and, centers you, either way, it is a good thing, okay? Your breathing, when you do that, you are taking over the automatic responses of your brain. Your brain on trauma does a lot of things automatically that you don't even consent to. They just go ahead and do it, all right? When you take back over your breathing, you are showing your brain, no, I am not anxious. I am in control of my breathing. I do not need to pant. I do not need to hyperventilate. All I need to do is breathe slowly and deeply and fully, and then I am going to be in control of my feelings. It is a trigger in your brain. When you start to do your deep breathing, it shows your brain, okay, we don't need to hyperventilate. We don't need to freak out. She's got it. She's already there. Ebony, you can feel the shift, right? You can feel it. You realize, you're like, oh, I was really tight. I was really tense a minute ago. Let me do my deep breathing. It calms that feeling down, relaxes you a little bit, makes it a little bit easier for you to think because you got some oxygen to your brain. If you're super anxious, you are sipping air and you're holding your breath. And so after a while, the carbon dioxide in your blood starts to rise up. And there is a trigger in your brain that says, oh, if it's high carbon dioxide, I must be in trouble. Something must be wrong. And so you are adding a physical problem on top of the mental problem of having the trauma. So now you're fighting against yourself mentally and physically. So what we need to do is get back in control of ourselves physically, and then we can start to help the mental part, all right? Fabulous. I'm so glad that you're here to do the deep breathing with me. Remember, 5 times a day. And also, in addition to that, we need to be doing our journaling. Have you been doing your journaling? You need to go ahead and sit down with your journal at least 2 times a day. Once in the morning, once in the evening. Once when you first wake up, you're first getting your day started, you're thinking about things, whatever comes to your brain that first couple of minutes that you're awake and you're alert and you're up. Give yourself about 5 minutes of just pouring that stuff out of your brain. How the day is going to go, what you think is going to happen, things that might be a trigger that day. Write those things down so you're anticipating when things could go wrong, but you're also thinking about things that could go right too. You're thinking about your plans for the day. Then at night, before you get ready to go to bed, you need to sit down with your journal about 5 minutes. I'm not asking for pages here, just a little bit of time. Sort through your feelings, think about things that have stressed you out or triggered you today, things that you're worried about for tomorrow. If you have a plan for those things, you will know what to do the next day instead of waking up dreading the next day. So you will be able to do a lot with your journaling. Do your journaling, okay? Does not matter what journal you use. This one is a Be Mindful journal. This one is itty bitty, can fit in your pocket. This one is fuzzy and covered in butterfly. So it doesn't matter which one you use. It doesn't matter at all. All you need to be doing is doing it on a regular basis, doing your journal. Mindy, it's all right. Better late than never. I am glad that you are here. Does not matter. Everybody that's here. I see more people here that have commented. Say hi to me. Let me know you're here. Give me likes, give me love. Let me know that you are with me on the healing path tonight. All right. So the next thing that we are always going to do is talk a little bit about some more things that you have control over, right? Hi, Dominique. Hey, I see you. All right. So another thing that you have control over, Astrid, I see you too, girl. Another thing that you have control over is the questions. I know that your brain is giving you tons of questions, isn't it? It keeps telling you, oh, wait. Before I do the questions. Ha, I almost forgot. Thirsty Thursday. Actually, we don't have very many people saying anything for Thirsty Thursday. If you have a good thing for Thirsty Thursday, go ahead and post it up. Let me know in the comments so that I can see your goodness for Thirsty Thursday. Good things happen to you. That's another thing that you have control over. You have control over thinking about the good stuff in your life, okay? You have the ability to not just focus on trauma, not just focus on the bad, but to focus on the good things that have happened to you. Those good things exist. They are there. And so what you need to do is focus on the good stuff so that you can see those things more clearly when they happen. So you can fight back against the trauma with the positive stuff that's going on in your life. That's my Thirsty Thursday that we got to place. That is my happiness right there. All of my joy, all of my celebration is we finally found a place to move to. We are super excited. We go and we are going to start to move in tomorrow. So excited. Happy times. And, that was a rough time for us. That was a rough time for us to get through. We've been stressing. We have been looking every 5 minutes. It's one of those things that, if we had been still in that healing place, we wouldn't have been able to get through this part together. We would be stressed out and ready to be at each other's throats if we hadn't been at a healed place. But right now we are healed and we were able to deal with that stress together. And then we made it through it. So this is just like every other thing. You can be stressed together, but you're going to make it through it as long as you go ahead, stick to your plan, go forward, stay on the healing path. All right. Let's see. The other thing, of course, was the questions. The questions. You don't want to always ask those terrible questions. I know they're pitiful. As somebody saw my reel, it was, don't ask those questions. Don't do it. Somebody posted that. She's like, I asked all the questions. I asked all of them, and they sucked. They did not give me any healing whatsoever. All right. So, it does not help to go through and do all of that negativity. You need the positive stuff, all right? Oh, wait. Oh, since we got some Thirsty Thursday. Before we go on to the questions, we got some Thirsty Thursday. I like to shout out good news. I like to celebrate with you. I want to tell you that is great and you are having good days. All right, so Alicia. Hey, Alicia. All right, let's see. Dominique, you said you attended a yoga class today. Okay, now. The yoga teacher said I was radiating. I know that's right. You got to go out there and just get the radiance going. You got to get that glow so that people can see it. I know that's right. I'm so excited for you. Good job, Dominique. Sienna, I've gotten to the point where I do not question her about the other woman. We have been having so many better days. A grateful week last week. Fabulous. I know it was a little rough last week. You were like, talk on it. But when you let that go and just decide to go ahead and forgive the person that you love, not dragging up the past, not keep on talking about, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about why you did it. And we got to talk about what a horrible person you are because you did it. We don't have to do that. We don't have to continue to go back and re-traumatize ourselves with the same information over and over again. That is why we got to stop with the questions. We did another week of being aware of how many questions you asked. Did you ask a whole bunch of questions this week? Did you do a whole bunch of them? Were you stressing yourself out with questions? Were you stressing him out, interrogating him? Or did you lay off the questions this week? Tell me about that too. Now, if you want to ask questions, of course, we're going to go to our go-to deck. We're going to go to the And Healing Edition deck. This is on theskindeep.com. Several people in the group have gotten this. They like it. It's a really good game. I don't advertise very much, but this is a really good one. I think it's about $25 for this set, but it's a good game. It's got a ton of cards in it and lots and lots of stuff for you to ask one another that does not have to do with the cheating. So I will give you a few examples right now. Hold on one second. Let me shuffle. Oh, this one jumped out, so this one must want to pick. All right. What do you cherish most about our connection? Look at that. That's a good one, isn't it? What do you cherish most about our connection? I like that one. That's a good one. Then another one jumped out on the floor. Hold on. That one jumped out too. All right, let's see. What does this one say? It says, what do you wish I healed for you and why? That's a good question. What do you wish I healed for you and why? What do you wish, I can't see, I healed for you and why? What if they said, no, I don't want you to heal anything for me? Wouldn't that be interesting? It's a good thought-provoking question. And then one more. How do you know when I'm struggling? That's a good one. That's a good one for both of you. How do you know when I am struggling? Those are good questions. Isn't that a better question to ask than what position they had sex in? And did you love her? And did you want to be with her? And were you trying to leave me? Those are not good questions. Those are terrible questions. They're going to stress you out. All right? We don't need to be stressed out. We need to have something that is more healing to do with each other than interrogate each other about what has gone wrong. Dominique, you got the black deck? I got the black deck too. The couples edition, I sure do too. Good questions, right? They're really good. Just basic things that you can ask one another that you can get a little closer. And that's what the point is. That's what you're thinking. The point is, when you ask all those questions about the infidelity, you think that it's going to somehow make you closer, that you're going to be able to ask him all these questions and that you're going to understand something that you didn't understand before, and suddenly it's going to be okay. Suddenly it's going to be like, oh, I understand what was going on and I am totally informed and I'm better now. But the thing is, your brain is going to use those answers against you. Your brain is going to use every single solitary bit of information you glean from him to make you want to back off. It's going to hurl those bits of information at you every single time you start to get close, start to let down those walls. So it's better to try and not ask all of those questions. Okay? All right. All right. Got that going. Let's see. Lovely. So we got always lots of questions. I love that. You all are great about giving me terrific questions to answer during the live. I absolutely love you for it. Thank you. All right, let me pull that up. All right, got Thirsty Thursday. And anybody else, if you do during the live, if you want to tell me some Thirsty Thursday information, you go right ahead and do so. I am excited to hear about your good news, okay? All right, let's see. Suzanne is the first question. Suzanne said, hello, I'm struggling with letting go of what once was and moving forward. Everything feels like a threat. Yeah, you're right about that. Being married 26 years, husband has withheld affection, love, sex. He's cheated our whole marriage with many women. I feel extremely stuck and like I'm losing it. I used to be a happy, outgoing lady. I feel half did inside. I'm so sorry about that, Suzanne. And tons of people were with you on that. So you are not by yourself. That's the first thing that you need to understand, is you are not by yourself. This is not in any way out of the ordinary. This happens all the time, every day, to somebody. That, some men are just stuck in that. Some men feel like all of their self-worth and what they can do and what they can be is all wrapped up in how many women they can sleep with. And that's just some sick stuff that they have been told and taught all throughout their lives. So if he has been doing that for 26 years, that's the way he was brought up. He was brainwashed into believing that that was normal for a relationship. There are 3 reasons usually of what's going on with them when they're cheating like that. Usually sick. If he has some kind of mental illness, that could be going on too. Some kind of physical illness, hormonal, addiction. All of those things are actually physically affecting his body. So if that is maybe part of it is getting that worked on. If he's got severe depression, if he's got some kind of mental disorder, like bipolar disorder or something like that, we need to work on getting that worked on. But sadness, which is grief, which is a loss of some kind. I don't know if he's experiencing a loss. But then the third one is stupid, which is all the terrible things that men have been told, and women too, are told about being in a relationship. And I think a lot of that, if he's been doing this consistently for 26 years, it's probably a lot of the stupid. It's probably a lot about what he's been told is normal, what he's been told is the average way to behave. As far as you yourself, stopping yourself from being happy and outgoing, I need you to stop that, all right? You should not give him the power to stop you from being who you are. If you want to be a happy and outgoing person, you do that in spite of circumstances, okay? The circumstances of life are always going to happen. They are always going to be there. There is never a time in your life where you're just free of all the circumstances. But if you just decide who you're going to be in spite of all those circumstances, that's going to carry you a very long way. If he's withholding, I'm all about the 180. The 180 is pretty good. It's in the group. I mentioned a few times before. The 180 is all about withdrawing that attention that you've been doing towards him. It's more of the nagging and I want you to change type energy. Withdrawing that and focusing on yourself, doing things for yourself that make you feel like the happy, outgoing lady that you are, treating yourself, self-care, doing all the things that you want to do, and paying a little bit less attention to this relationship. If you're not focused so much on this relationship, that takes something away from what he's doing. If he feels like, oh, well, she is paying so much attention to this, so that's rewarding me. That's showing me that she loves me so much, and she's so interested in what I'm doing, that she's going to get upset about this, and then you stop getting upset about it, you immediately pull his attention right back to you. He can't focus on running around doing what he's doing when he doesn't have his audience. So I'm all about that, Suzanne. I want you to go ahead, 180 him. You live together, so you can't just, they can't do anything with like calling or anything. Calling on the 180, if you don't live together, it's like reducing the calling. But everything else on the 180, going out and doing your own thing, except for not saying that you love him. If you love him, go ahead and say that you love him. But there's so many things up there. It's like present yourself as a person who is gonna be okay. Regardless, I'm not gonna sit here and not be okay because of your behavior. And when you do that with him, it's gonna call his attention right back to you. So, Suzanne, you let me know. Does that make sense? Go look in the group. The 180 is in there. All right. So Nicole said, my issue is not asking questions. Yeah. It's making snide comments to him so I can make sure he knows what he did was not okay. Do you really think that he does not know that, Nicole? Do you really think that he doesn't know that after all this time, after all of the snide comments, after all of the snapping at him, that he does not know that it was not okay? He knows that. You can give it a rest, okay? You don't have to keep doing that. The thing is, if you want to heal, you have to start behaving like a person who's healing. And a person who's healing is not lashing out and just making mean comments. You wouldn't want him making mean comments about something that you've done, right? If you did the wrong thing, if you hurt him, you wouldn't want to hear every day how terrible you were, how wrong you were. You would want to hear something about some forgiveness, right? You want to hear like, yeah, I'm hurting. I get it. I know why you did what you did. And I'm struggling a little bit, but I love you. And we're going to get through this. You making the snide comments isn't conducive with we're going to be okay, we're going to work through this, we're going to be healed. You know what I mean? So you got to start doing stuff that a healed person would do, and lashing out isn't healed. Okay, all right, we got to stop with that. We got to restrain ourselves from all the lashing out, because it doesn't help. It just stirs up more resentment, more anger between the both of you. You're firing at him all the time, and then he's not responding the way you want him to, because he's hurt because you're hurting him. But you want him to just grovel because of it. You're like, well, if I say that you're wrong, you should just be on your knees begging for my forgiveness. That's kind of abusive. So we don't want to be doing stuff that is abusive. Hurt people, and when you're hurt, you decide that I'm justified in hurting you whatever way I feel like it today. And that is just not the case. If you do that, you're not heading towards healing. You're wallowing in the pain, and you're not going to start to heal. You're not going to feel better if you continue to do that. So I would say, back off of the snide comments. He knows already. He is very aware that what he did is wrong. You continuing to slap him in the back of the head with it is not going to help anybody in the situation, not you or him. Okay, does that make sense? All right, let's see. Ebony said, what about good morning and good night text? Do we still do those texts on the 180? Yes. If you are not together, I added that in. That is my part from the 180. This is something that I had been teaching women before I even knew the 180 was a thing. One good morning text, no questions, just a good morning. I got such and such plan today. I love you. Hopefully you can call me later. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. And then one at night before you get ready to go to bed. I'm getting into bed. It's been a long day. A little tired. I hope you had a great day too. Love you. Good night. That type of thing. Keeping the messages very short, very simple, because you don't want to get into silent treatment territory. That's why I tell you to do the good morning and good night text, because what will happen is we will pull back so far and build up the wall and just decide not to text at all. And then they know, oh, well, something's wrong. Oh, she's not talking to me. She's giving me the silent treatment. She's mad again. And then they get irritated by that, and they're like, oh, she's trying to manipulate me, and then they get upset. So instead of doing that, you're consistent. You are consistently reaching out. You are consistently saying something. You are consistently being like, hey, I'm reaching out to you. I'm giving you love. I'm wishing you a good day. I'm telling you a little bit about my day. I am not sitting here being angry at you. I am just not going to be all day, every day, calling you, texting you, reaching out to you, trying to get you to engage with me. When you send those good morning and good night texts and you don't put any questions in, you're saying you don't have to respond to me. I'm not giving you any reason to respond. You don't have to. I'm not asking you a question where you have to come up with an answer and you have to respond to me. I'm not even doing that. I am just giving a little bit of love, putting myself out there, letting you know that I am still here. I am still trying. I do want the relationship to work out. And, if you want to reach out to me, great. I would love that. It's leaning back. It's not leaning forward. What happens is when you keep on going forward, when you keep on trying to reach out all the time, when you're always calling, when you're always texting, when you're always texting him messages so he'll respond to you, so you can see how he responds to you, that's some mental stuff. When you're doing that, you are getting closer and closer and closer to him. We want them to reach out, right? What you want is for him to reach for you, to show you that he cares about you, that he is thinking about you when you're not there. And he can't do that if you're constantly on him. If you're right here, he can't reach for you. There's no space for him to reach for you. So if you are doing this, you're doing the 180, that's what you're doing. You're creating that space. You are saying that I am willing. I still love you. I care about you. I am perfectly okay with getting through this as a couple, but I'm not going to be tripping over myself to try and get close to you if you're not going to be reaching out for me. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you lean back, they start to reach for you, and then you can see it. There's some space in between you, and you can see him reaching for you, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, he really does care. It's not just one-sided. It's not just me giving and giving and giving and trying and trying and trying. I leaned back a little bit and allowed him to try, and he did try. So that's what that's all about. And Ebony, you see that that's working. You see that that is working extremely well. When you lean back a little bit like that, he's calling you, he's texting you, he wants to spend the night on the phone with you, that type of stuff. That is what happens when you do the 180. You pull that attention away. You pull all that anxious, manic energy from the trauma away from the relationship. And then he's like, what happened? Where'd all that energy go? What's going on? And then he wants to chase behind you and try and figure out how to get your attention back. So it really does work. I say go for it. All right. Astrid said, what if he wants to act like nothing has happened and wants things to be like before, but I have huge trust issues because he's not transparent and gets defensive? Okay. All right. I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody. Trust doesn't really have anything to do with the other person. We give our trust away to the people that we want to have it. It's just a fact of life. We choose who we want to trust. When you first got with him, you trusted him pretty good because you fell in love with him. It wasn't necessarily about what he was doing. It was because of how you felt. And the thing is, if you want to rebuild your trust again, you have to decide that you trust him and then do the actions of trusting. The whole transparency thing, I feel like that gets in the way. Because then if you're doing the whole transparency thing, you're like, oh, well, you should be transparent. I should be able to go in your phone. Okay, now you're going to feel like you need to go ahead and go in his phone. And then if you do find something in his phone, then we're going to have the big blow up. If you don't find something in his phone, now you got to figure out how to feel better without that. You've got to feel like, okay, well, now I didn't find anything. Now, I thought I was going to find something, but I didn't find anything. I feel better for a few minutes, but now it goes back and around in a loop. Like, I got to check again just to make sure that there was nothing so I can go ahead and continue to feel good. You get in this terrible feedback loop about constantly checking on him, and you become his parent, you become his warden, and you don't want to do that. He's trying to act his way out of this. And that's not a bad instinct. That's not something that women tend to do. We are all told that we're supposed to talk about it. We are supposed to talk about exactly what happened. If we don't talk about it, then we're never going to heal from it. And that's not true. You can behave your way past a problem. You can do that. All right. So what he's trying to do is get to the part where it's normal again. You're not always freaking out on him. He's not always apologizing and feeling bad and feeling guilty and remorseful all the time. He's trying to get to that part. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not really people always say that that's trying to sweep it under the rug. But the thing is, you've got to heal a little bit for some of the other stuff that happens with the transparency and all that to be able to happen. If we are all up in arms and we are all stressed and anxious and tight with one another, then it's very hard to be transparent. It's hard to do that. It's hard to open yourself up to that when you know the person is already mad. So you've got to start a little bit of that healing. A little bit of that healing goes a long way. I found out so much more about what my husband had been doing and what he had been feeling once I started to heal a little bit, go on down the path, started to let it go a little bit, stop trying to, pressure him to like, we have to talk about it all the time, and I trust. And I as soon as I calmed that down a little bit, I was able to find out more information. We were able to get closer. But the whole thing is, you got to start with you. You got to start with what you can do. If you're focused on trying to change him instead of working on your own trauma, you're going to lead yourself down the wrong path, because you'll be focusing outside of yourself instead of inside yourself, and you'll be trying to drag him along and change him while you're trying to heal yourself at the same time. Your responsibility is not to heal him. Your responsibility is not to fix him. Your responsibility is not to make sure he never does this again. That is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to heal. Your responsibility is not to be traumatized for the rest of your life, okay? That is what you need to focus on. Don't focus on what he's doing. Focus on what you can do about how you're feeling and calming yourself and centering yourself and regulating your own emotions instead of what he can do to regulate your emotions. Does that make sense, Astrid? It gets a little complicated, I know, but I hope that makes a little bit of sense to you. Elizabeth, I see you, girl. Where you been? All right, fabulous. All right, good stuff here. All right, let me see. Another question. Don't have any over here. Lena, hey. MJ, I think you're new. Hi. So this also sucks so much of our time. Girl, yeah. I tell myself, don't give his issues too much of my time. Fantastic. That is good. Do not sit there and let his stuff fill your brain, okay? A lot of that, when you are disconnecting yourself from that, when you're like, you know what, I'm gonna let you have your issues. I'm not gonna take your issues. I already got my own issues. I carry plenty all by myself. I don't need to add to my issues with your issues. When you do that, when you take that step back, you make yourself way more attractive to him, because then he's like, she's not trying to fix me. She's not trying to sit here and say, oh, I'm so broken and I need to be fixed, and she's not trying to like doctor me and trying to fix what is going on with me. She's just loving me. That is how people heal. People don't heal when you're telling them they're so bad and they're so wrong and they're so terrible and they hurt you so much. Somebody you love, if you tell them, hey, I love you anyway. I forgive you anyway. I know you made a mistake. You did the wrong thing. You made bad choices, but that's not going to stop me from loving you. That is where people heal. People don't heal from threats and intimidation. They really don't. They heal from love. And if you got the love for them, go ahead and give it to them. Go ahead. It was for them anyway, so you might as well go ahead and give it to them, okay? Let's see, Diana. Diana asked how to move on when everyone is looking at you like you are an idiot for staying. That's why I created this group, because this group is almost 4,500 members strong at this point, and none of you are stupid. You are choosing what you want to do for your life. So how you move with that is you've got to be confident. You have got to be busting out the door every day with your crown on straight and sure in the eyes of the public about what you are doing. No, this is my honey. He's an idiot. Yes, he is. But I love him. I am going to forgive him. We are going to work this out. And I am not a victim. Don't sit here and be sorry for me. I am choosing what I want for my life. I understand if you would not make the same choice. I get that. Up until now, I didn't think that I would make the same choice. But hey, come to find out, I found somebody who was worth the trouble, who was worth me healing, who was worth me forgiving. And I think that in and of itself, just the fact that you found somebody who you are willing to forgive for such an unforgivable thing, lets you know, okay, I found something real. I found something special here. And I'm not going to just give it up because you think that I should go ahead and leave him. That's dumb. Why are you going to live your life according to what other people want you to do? That is not effective for your life. It's not going to make you happy. So you've got to just be completely sure of yourself. Every time you are around people, you need to be absolutely certain that, oh yeah, we're fine. Don't worry about us. We all right. I love him. He loves me. We are okay. We are going to make it. Everything is fine. How are you doing? How is your relationship doing over there? If you want to be all concerned about mine. All right. Does that make sense to you, Dan? Does that make sense to everybody? I tell you, I am not doing that. I am not doing that. I am not going to sit here and listen to what you have to say about my life and then try and make me look like an idiot for living my life. No. We're not going to do that. Angela, you said I made the mistake of telling him about hysterical bonding that really bothered him. Did it? Really? The hysterical bond? Did you hysterical bond with him? they call it hysterical bonding, but I'm like, it's having sex with the person that you love because you want to make sure that your pair bond. We're mammals and we pair bond, and we want to reinforce that bond. I don't know if it's necessarily hysterical. I think that, when our bond is threatened, we want to reinforce it. We want to strengthen it. So I don't feel like, the bonding is that hysterical, but that's what they call it. But he was upset about that. He was upset about you wanting to be closer to him, have more sex with him because of this. Huh. Hey, Lori, I see you over there on Instagram. And Capricorn season over on Instagram. Hey there. How you doing, girl? Yeah, that's what that is, Alma, is that feeling like you got to be close. You've got to have sex. You've got to be close to them. You're all over them after this has happened, when you're like, I shouldn't even want to touch him. That's what it's called, is that hysterical bonding thing. So that's funny, Angela. He was upset about that. Most of them don't care. Most of them are like, oh, she's mad at me and we're gonna have sex. Damn. Okay. But okay, he's caring about your feelings, but you're not in that phase anymore, right? We're evening out. We're trying to get straight together, right? So I'm like, tell him, don't be mad about past stuff. He don't want you to be mad about past stuff. Don't be worried about the past. We need to go forward. All right. Lena, yeah, okay, all right, there we go. He said, Angela, he said he wasn't upset because of all the sex, just the term hysterical bond. That's what I'm saying. I don't like that term. It makes it sound like you're just nuts. And you're not. You are putting a stamp on what belongs to you. That's not crazy. That's not hysterical. That is, you are mine, and I'm going to make sure that you know it right this second. I don't know if that's necessarily hysterical, but I get it. I get that they had to have a term for it, but yeah, I can feel them on that. Tell them I said I don't like that term either. I don't like that one. All right, let's see what else we got. Peggy said journaling. I'm not sure that I'm doing it right. It seems to be more of a synopsis of things that happened today and less of my feelings. Not sure it's helping me much because I don't feel any better after journaling most of the time. Well, you got to get your feelings in there. You can have the synopsis of what has happened because you need that information. In your journal, what you're doing is your date, your time, your level of anxiety. Put that when you first start, okay? Date and time is going to be able to show you if there are trends and if you're feeling bad at certain days or at certain times. If you write that down on a regular basis, the date and the time, you're going to know what those dates and times are. And so then you can start to anticipate, oh, I'm going to feel bad then. Let me start working on things that make me feel good in these hours before that happens. And writing down those feelings in connection to what is going on will let you see what triggers there are. You may not realize, it may be something simple like every time he took out the trash, he would be on texting with her. So every time I see him taking out the trash, then I get a little anxious because I think that he's outside trying to text with her behind my back. All right. So you would know that if you're writing down, okay, he's taking out the trash and I'm feeling anxious about that. I wonder why I'm feeling anxious about that. You can start to make that connection. So that's what it is about the journaling. It is giving yourself clues. It is trying to make sure that you write things down in the moment because your memory is very affected by trauma. People feel like their memory is crystal clear when they have been traumatized. You remember every little detail of what happened. But the thing is, that is what happens with like the actual trauma itself, but everything around the trauma, you're not remembering as well as you could be. So if you're writing things down, you have a better record of what happened. You can be writing things down and saying, I had a pretty good day today. Things have been all right. And then you write that for a whole week. And then the next week, all of a sudden, you feel like nothing is ever getting any better. I'm always going to have terrible weeks. Then you can look back on the previous week and say, oh, wait, no, I don't always have terrible weeks. Last week was not a terrible week. I wasn't great. It wasn't wondrous, but I wasn't feeling as miserable as I'm thinking that I always feel because I wrote it down. I know for sure that that's not how I was feeling because I wrote it down. I gave myself a synopsis of what was going on and kind of where my feelings were in the moment. And all that week, I was all right. So it gives you a place to write down the things that are going on and your feelings associated with them, so that later on, when your brain is trying to tell you lies about things that have happened, you can go back and read. You can just go back, flip a couple pages back in your journal, and be like, brain, see, you said that I have been miserable, and we have not had any kisses or hugs or anything all week. I got it right here. I gave him a kiss first thing in the morning. He gave me a kiss when he came home. I know that that's not true because I wrote it down. So does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you, Becky. It's just a matter of getting your feelings out, putting stuff down, and trying to find the patterns, trying to find the stuff that is happening without you recognizing it. Because a lot of things will slip by you in trauma. All right. Let's see. Let me refresh that. Make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. Let's see. Ashley. Hey, Ashley. Ashley's new too. Ashley said, how to handle the internal debate / comparison of myself to the homewrecker. Oh, you got 3 things. All right. Well, the first thing, you are not supposed to be comparing yourself to anybody anyway, period. Okay. Hey, Gigi B. Hey, over there on Instagram. Hey, girl. You're not supposed to be comparing yourself to anybody. Just because this has happened doesn't mean that rule suddenly becomes moot. You are not supposed to be comparing yourself to anybody. You are a unique creature on this planet. It doesn't matter what somebody else is like, what somebody else looks like, somebody else is like. You can't compare yourself to them because you're not in their body. You are not them. You were put here to experience this life all on your own, not to be compared with anybody else. So that's the first thing. It's just reminding your brain of that. Like, why are you comparing me to her? I am me. I am special. I am individual. I am unique. I am not her. There is no comparison. There is no way to compare the two of us because we are different. All right. It's apples and oranges. All right. And that's a lot of the internal debate. You just got to talk to yourself. You got to tell yourself on a regular basis, hey, no. That's not what we're doing today. That is not healthy. I do not believe that I am in any way able to be compared to her. So we are not doing that, brain. And tell your brain that that's not what we're doing. Your brain does these things on purpose. It will tell you that, oh, she's so much more beautiful than you, or she's so skinny. She's so much skinnier than you, or she's got such a cute butt. She's got a better butt than you. And of course, that means that you can't be with him. That means that you aren't good enough. That's all it is your brain trying to trick you into believing that you're not good enough so that you will back away from the relationship. You will back away from the person who caused you trauma. But you don't want to do that. You want to be close. So we got to stop those things. We got to say, no. I am not believing that. I am not sitting here gonna dwell on that right now. I am not to be compared with any other woman on this planet. All right. Second one was acceptance. I struggle with fairness of the situation. From my perception, it does not feel like anything happened to the homewrecker that was in our life, whereas my family and particularly myself continue to deal with the aftermath. That is hard. It is, because you feel like this person didn't suffer any consequences whatsoever. But you have to remind yourself that this is a person who is trying to intrude upon a family. They thought so little of themselves that they went after somebody who was unavailable, has a family, and went for them to try and raise their own self-esteem. So she's already got her own issues, all right? She's already got problems as it is. So it's not really a fairness thing. One of my favorite sayings is life isn't fair, but sometimes it's unfair in your favor. Life has never been fair. Nobody ever said life was fair. We got to stop expecting that to be the case. Life has never been fair, but sometimes it's unfair for you. It's unfair in a way that advantages you. And so, okay, you are dealing with an imbalance right now. You are dealing with some unfairness to you. But eventually, that circle is going to come back around and you are going to have something unfair happen to your advantage. So don't stress yourself about somebody else's karma, all right? You don't have to deal with her karma. You don't have to deal with the consequences that she will have to face. It's from the universe for doing this, all right? You don't have to deal with that. You will probably never know her consequences from the universe for doing this. All you know is what you are trying to do is be with your family and be connected and loving. Don't worry about her consequences for what she did wrong. All you can do is tend to your own behavior. You can only do that. All right, that makes sense. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything over on the screen here, because she's got a little bit more. All right. Oh, I'm missing stuff. He said, okay. He said, I noticed that he is leaving his phone around me, always doing things when in the past it used to be glued to his hand. It is so funny. My husband says, he'll be like, oh shit, I forgot my phone. And like his like some of his coworkers be like, oh, you forgot your phone? It's with your wife? And he was like, yeah. And they're like, you're not worried? And he was like, see, that's a sign you're doing something wrong. If you're worried about where your phone is, if you're worried that it's with your wife, you're probably doing something you shouldn't be doing. He was like, I can leave it around her because I'm not doing anything. It's fine. And he was like, I'll just call her. She'll bring it to me. What are you talking about? So it's good, right? It's excellent that he is starting to leave it around you, starting to show that he's trying to be trustworthy. He's trying to be transparent. He's not hiding it from you. Now, my phone is attached to my hip, okay? I am constantly on it. I am constantly texting with my clients, with people that are in my programs. So I could look like a cheater easily. I could very easily look like I'm cheating. I'm constantly texting, talking on the phone. I fall asleep with it most of the time. Most of the time, I fall asleep with it in my hand. So it could look like I'm cheating, but I'm not. So it just depends on the circumstance. You got to realize, like, even if he was on it all the time, even if he had it with him all the time, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's cheating. But he's capable of leaving it with you now. So it's comforting, at least, to know that he can just leave it behind. Let's see. Peggy, you say, today I saw the AP's brother, sister-in-law, and nephew at a restaurant where I went to lunch. She was aware of what he was doing with her sister-in-law. In fact, was around them a few times when they were together. Okay, I try not to let it bother me, but it always makes me think of that. Well, see, that's the thing. I know he couldn't do anything about it. That wasn't his business. That wasn't his business to even deal with. His sister was out here doing wild stuff. All right, there's nothing he could do about it. Nothing anybody else could do about it, because they're grown-ups and they can do what they want. But I can imagine that it would make you think about it. But you got to take that space back in your brain and be like, okay, yeah, I know that reminded me of the situation. Yes, it did, but that doesn't mean that every single time I see this person, I'm going to have to sit here and be reminded about what happened. NJ said, my husband's AP was also married. So hard to accept. My husband is also a home wrecker. Oh, she run her own home. That whole home wrecker thing. You run your own home. If you out here cheating and you out here doing something behind your own spouse's back, like, we can't keep on blaming the other person. You gotta take responsibility for what it is. So he wrecked his own home. She wrecked her own home. That's what happened with that. Oh, you said her husband divorced her? I bet he did. Yeah. Like, men are much less tolerant. But that's not to say that a ton of men don't stay and work it out. I'm constantly getting men in the group, even though, it says that it's just women. I still get plenty of men that are like, I am going through something. I need a little help, and I try and help them as best I can. But, yeah, it tends to be that the men will just leave. They'll just go ahead and divorce. They'll run. I don't know, some manhood, I don't know, ego, I don't know what that is, but yeah, they're much less likely to forgive. And then, of course, in general, men are less taught to forgive than women are, I think. Dana said, my husband's watching with me. Oh, hey, Dana's husband, and pushing me to comment. Look at that, see, isn't it good when you can get them involved? Isn't that lovely? We've been married 16 years, and my biggest fear is, after working through all this, that it could happen again, say 15 years down the road, and I fear I will have wasted more of my life. That's not a waste, though. You're saying that you have been together for 16 years. That wasn't a waste. Just because he did this doesn't mean that it was a waste. You lived the life that you wanted to live. You are with the person that you wanted to be with. That was never a waste. Don't ever think that about your life. And then you're borrowing trouble. You're worried about, okay, if we get through this, let's stop right there. If we idea instead of, well, if we get through this, could it happen again? The thing is, all sorts of things could happen. All sorts of things could happen. Circumstances change every day. All sorts of things could happen. But you are stopping yourself from being happy now, borrowing trouble that has not happened for later. Does that make sense? I bet you your husband is saying that makes sense. If that's, you're borrowing trouble that hasn't even happened to you. You're like, oh, if I heal, then I'm in a position where I can be hurt again. Yeah, yes, that's what happens. Once you heal, you are in a position where you could be hurt again because you have healed. Now you're in that space where you're not hurting. You have the ability to be hurt again. And nobody is saying that nothing bad will ever happen in your relationship ever again. But trying to take all the joy out of now, worried about something that hasn't even happened yet, it's going to just stress you out. You're living in fear. You don't get to enjoy your life. You don't get to appreciate all that you've experienced together and be happy and peaceful and joyful in the moment because you're concerned about something that hasn't even happened yet. So if you're willing to be a little bit open, a little bit vulnerable, go ahead and go for it. Don't worry so much about what could happen in the future. What you're doing right now is creating fear and pain in the present. Like right now, you are choosing that. And you don't have to. You don't have to choose that. Does that make sense, Dana? Let me know. Is your husband cheering? All right. Let me know. And to everybody, does that make sense? Can we not borrow trouble for the future? If it hasn't happened yet, let's just go ahead and be joyful today. Why do we have to be worried that something bad will happen in the future? I promise you, my right hand God, I promise you that something bad will happen in the future. You don't get a charmed life where nothing bad happens to you. None of us do. It's just the fact that you could be happy now. Yeah, something bad might happen later. Sure. But you could be happy now. And it's not happening right this second, right? So let's go ahead and be happy now. All right, Dana, cool. You with me on that? All right, good. You said, Ebony, it makes sense. I was doing that the other day. Exactly. It's like you're pulling from the future that has not happened. And so then you're directing yourself towards that bad thing happening. You are focusing on a bad thing and you're headed in that direction when you do that. You got to be like, no, my life is going to be good. I'm going to have happiness in this moment. I'm going to be happy today. I think we're probably going to be happy tomorrow. But if something bad happens tomorrow, at least I was happy today. At least I got that joy today. At least we were in love today. You know, you're not guaranteed charmed life and no problems. Nobody was ever guaranteed that. That is not a guarantee in life. You are absolutely guaranteed that pain will come. It is also a guarantee that you do not have to suffer from it every day of your life. All right? Lena, you say you're right. Just enjoy the moment. Just enjoy the moment. Be in the moment with your honey. Love who you love in the moment. And don't worry so much about the future that may or may not get there. You could get hit by a bus tomorrow. And 15 years from now won't even happen. So if you are stressed out about it today and you were terrified all day long and you were anxious and you didn't enjoy your day and then you walked out tomorrow and you got hit by a bus, then you have spent the entire rest of your life miserable for absolutely no reason. So it's not necessary. We don't have to do that. All right, more questions. This one back to Ashley. Ashley had a third question up here. It said, how to heal when your partner is investing in rebuilding your marriage on a different level than you are. For example, betrayed spouse is doing solo therapy, reading books, journaling, support groups. The betrayer has ended contact with the homewrecker, home more, communicating better, and more date nights, but no transparency with social media, phone, does not like to talk about the cheating, compartmentalizes, doesn't read books, completely different mindset from before during the affair, but just not insightful to the needs of the person so deeply hurt. The problem with, first of all, I'm going to always tell you, tend to your part. If you're healing, tend to your part of the healing. Don't worry about their part. It's just going to stress you out. Okay. You are the person that's hurt. You are definitely going to have more healing to do. You have more work to do. And that sucks. Again, not fair, because they're the one that hurt you. So why isn't it they have more work to do than you do? But the fact is that you're trying to deal with those emotions. You're trying to sort your emotions. You're trying to regulate them. You're trying to get back to trusting. You're trying to understand what happened. So you are doing more of the work. I know it sucks. I know it does. But in order to heal, that is what you're going to have to do. All right. So doing your solo therapy, good job. Reading the books, good job. Journaling, excellent. Support groups, fantastic. Do that, because that's going to help you heal, because nobody else can heal you. Him and all the things that he's doing things right. But even if he was doing all the things that you wanted him to do, that's still not going to heal you. You still have to be a part of your own rescue. You have to be healing on yourself and not expecting him to fix you, because he's not capable of that. He can't get down inside your brain and scrub your brain free of the thoughts and fix it for you. He has to deal with his part. You deal with your part. All right. Now, more in depth. All right. He's in contact with her, home more, communicating better, more date nights. So he's showing you more love, more affection, more communication, more closeness. Okay. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you want? Those are good things. You're saying that that's less than what you're doing, but he is equally working on the relationship right alongside you. You're saying no transparency on social media. I think everybody should stay off each other's social media. I don't think that you should have access to everything that he's got. I don't think you should have access to his phone. I don't think you should have all that access to his social media and be looking at everything he's liking and following him and checking up on him through social media. I think that starts to drive you crazy. I think that you get obsessed with doing things like that, and it very, very easily happens. It's the same thing that happens with drugs. What happens is somebody will be in pain, and they will use drugs to fix the pain, and then there is still pain. The pain didn't actually go away. The pain got covered up by the drugs. The pain is still there, and so they have to do more drugs. And then the pain is still there, so they have to do more drugs. That's how addictions get built. The same thing happens when you're stuck looking at his phone. Well, I'm hurting, so I need to look at his phone to make sure he's not doing anything. Okay, I've looked at his phone. All right, that feeling has worn off now. Now I'm hurting again. I got to look at his phone again. Okay, it made me feel better for a shorter time this time. I got to look at his phone again. It becomes an addiction. So I don't think that that's healthy to do at all. I really don't think that that's a good way to go about healing yourself. But reading the books, they don't read the books. The books aren't written for them. For the most part, they don't read the books. They don't sit there and read an entire book about what a douche you are, how terrible you have behaved, how horrible your woman is feeling about you. They're not doing that. Lori, you with me on that? They're not doing that. I know that in our heads, it's like, well, if you cared, you would read this book about how much of an asshole you are. But no, it's not even going to be one of those things that they're like, oh, yes, I should sit here and read a book about how terrible I am. No, they're not going to want to do that. Completely different mindset from before and during the affair. Yeah. Oh, that's what we're going for. If that is the case, you feed into that. All the things that he does right, cheer him on. Full bandwagon. Get with all the things that he's doing right. Instead of picking out the things that you feel like he's doing wrong, hype up, excited about all of the things that he is doing correctly. Get behind him on everything that he's doing right, and then he's going to want to do more right stuff. Does that make sense? That's how you handle that. All right. Let's see. Gotta go back here, see what comments. Carrie, you said I do that. Going and checking his phone over and over again. Is that what you were talking about? Look for things when I get in my head. Yeah, exactly. You sit there and stress yourself out thinking about, well, what could be happening and what's going on, and let me check your phone, and what does this message mean? It's just too much to go through all the time. It really is. Ebony said so true. I unfriended him on FB. Good. Because it became addictive for me to always check and see if he was online. Yeah. Then it became a trigger for me when I would see that he wasn't on for hours because it made me think, he must be with her. Exactly. It's like a damned if you do, if you damned if you don't situation. If he's on, it's like, why aren't you talking to me? If you're not on, then you must be talking to her. It's a whole thing. It just starts to stress you out. It makes you go a little nuts. It just is. That's one of the downsides of technology. I think that's one of the downsides to having all this phone access and all of that. I don't know if you all remember, but I remember a time where you couldn't talk to each other at work. You could not call up to the main desk of his job and be like, hey, I'd like to speak to my honey, please. And the boss give him the phone and he could sit there and talk to you and reassure you all day. That didn't happen before. Before we had cell phones, that was impossible. So, so many people had to heal without that. And so they did. And so I want us to go back to a little bit of that. Stop depending on this technology so much to try and fix things and to actually make it be about the personal connection between the two of you instead of about, I can track him. I can put him on a GPS. I can know exactly where he is. I can see every message that he sends to every person that he is talking to. It's just too much. It's too much access and it starts to drive you nuts. All right. Let's see. Alma said, "Is there a list of these books / reading material posted somewhere?" Not in this group. I need to start a collection of good books. I kept reading books when I was going through it, but again, this has been 15 years. So when I was going through it, it was like I didn't find any good books. I kept finding books telling me what he should do. That was why I started doing this in the first place, because I was like, why do you keep telling me what he should do? What am I supposed to do to heal? Okay, yeah. He's supposed to do all this stuff to try and make me feel better, but that's not healing me. That's just him doing actions. If I'm not healing, him doing all that stuff is pointless. He could be giving me complete access to his phone, but if I'm not working on healing, if I'm not starting down the healing path at all, then I'm not going to feel good about having that access. If he is totally ignoring every other woman on the whole planet, I'm not going to feel better because I'm still going to be thinking, he could be talking to somebody. He could be going behind my back. It's not going to help. You got to actually start from yourself. So I just hadn't found books. That's why I came up with my own formula, because I hadn't found books to help that was really effective. Yeah, I haven't read a lot of books in the last few years, so I need to maybe start and try and read a few. I'm writing one right now, so eventually that's gonna come out. But I just never found ones that were like, okay, yeah, here, this is what you do so that you can feel better. So I decided to write it myself. If anybody's got good suggestions for, you can post them. Let me know if there's something that has, you're like, that was a revolutionary read that changed my whole mindset, that made me feel so much better. Please make sure you post it. But I didn't find that book. Blurry said, how best to deal with this situation where husband doesn't feel remorseful at all after being confronted about his cheating, and in fact he continues to lie and secretly meet the woman in another country using business trips as excuses. It's hard for me to deal with this since he doesn't feel remorseful, but married 12 years and 3 young kids. This is so tough. How do you know that he is still secretly meeting with her, and how do you know he's not remorseful? That would be my question. Because a lot of us feel like they're not remorseful, feel like, you're not sorry enough. When they're not groveling, when they're not trying all day, every day to get you to forgive them and focused all on it. But most of them aren't like that. Most of them aren't going to sit there and be focused on it. They're going to try and move forward with life. So, Gloria, you got to give me a little bit more information about that. Because if he's going out of town on business trips, you know that he's going out of town on business trips. It may not be that he's going to see her. So I want to know how you know that. All right. I'm always going to ask you that. How do you know? How do you know that? If you just have a feeling, if you're just like, I'm dreading, I think that he is going to see her, that's one thing. But like having some evidence that he's actually going to see her, that's a different thing. All right. And then Colleen said, I've been wondering this since a friend asked, do your children know? Should you tell your grown children what has happened to upheave all your household? At the time, my son was too young, but my daughter did know. And, she was on him. She was always, she would catch him by himself and be like, you're hurting mom and you shouldn't do this. When I started to heal, I let her know. I was like, first of all, you were too young to even be dealing with this. This is not your problem. This is something between mom and dad. This is not your responsibility to handle. And that was a major thing for me because I was like, you are a kid. You are not supposed to be handling the grown-up problems. I am the one that is supposed to be dealing with this problem with your dad. You are not the one that has to handle this. So she always wanted him to do better. She always wanted him to do right because she's a daddy's girl. She loves him to death. And she is like, dude, you're messing up. What are you doing? And so she would talk to him a little bit about it. But my son was too young, really, at the time. He wasn't involved in all this upheaval. So I think that you should not tell your children. If you can possibly help it, if you can possibly arrange it so that they don't know, I would say don't tell them. If they're grown, especially, yeah, that's not their business. Let them go ahead and go about living their life, and you go ahead and live yours, and don't involve them in it. Yeah, there's some upheaval. There's some stuff going on between me and your dad right now. That's not your business. Don't worry about it. We can still do stuff as a family. I'm still here for you. He's still here for you. But we are going through something together that isn't anything to do with you. It's not your business, and we don't need you involved in it, and we don't need you stressed out over it. So I say, if you can possibly help it, avoid telling everybody. I feel like you should get to a better place before you start telling anybody. I think that's the last step in the healing. The last step in the healing is inspiration in my formula. Getting from devastation, and then regulating your feelings, then recreating the relationship, recreation phase, then going to celebration. We are okay. We are doing well. We're having a good time, and then inspiration is, I can tell this story now without crying. I can tell this story and be an inspiration to somebody else. I'm at that point, I feel good at that point. Like, I can tell you all sorts of stories about things that have happened, and I don't feel terrible about them anymore. I don't hurt over them. And I want you to get to that point too. If you can get to the point where you're not hurting, then you can tell people. But sitting there stressing yourself out and hurting yourself over it, yeah, and involving your children in that, I feel like you shouldn't do. Ebony, good. Oh, yes, that is a good one, too. The Power of a Praying Wife. That is a good one. That is one I read back then. That one, just the first chapter on Pray for Yourself and Deal with Your Own Stuff, that is where a lot of this came from. That you're right. That was a book that did actually help me, because that part, and for praying for him instead of praying to change him. That was a mind blower when I read that book. I was like, oh, I am praying to change him, and it's just, God doesn't work like that. You can't just manipulate him through God. You can't do that. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I guess that makes sense. So those are two parts that stood out to me. But dealing with yourself, trying to deal with your own stuff, is where she was coming from with that, and I like that. The Empowered Wife, 5 love languages, yes, definitely. And let's see, okay, Peggy said, what I think is, he's not sorry he did it, he's sorry he got caught. I mean, everybody's sorry they got caught. Everybody's sorry they got caught at the time. And okay, let me say it like this. I talked a little bit last week about selfishness, how a lot of this comes from selfishness. You feel selfish, you feel like you need this, you go off and do something that's hurtful to somebody else, okay? He may not be sorry for doing it. If he was in a space, he was in a place in his brain where he was hurting and he needed this, he felt like he needed this, he may not be sorry for it. He may not be sorry that he actually did it. And that's just one of those things you kind of got to live with, and with everybody in this life, that, we go through things and we do things that are not necessarily in the best interest of the people around us, but may feel like they are in our best interest. And we can only live our lives trying to do the best interest for ourselves. We can't live our entire lives trying to have our best interest on everybody else all the time. Women, we're taught that all the time. What you are is what you can do for other people, how you can treat other people. And I think that that's wrong, that we're taught that. I feel like we should be a little bit more selfish and we should do the things for ourselves. And we could understand that a little bit better, that he was doing this because he felt like he needed to do it, and he may not be sorry for having that need in the moment. And we shouldn't feel sorry for having our needs in the moment either. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that is one of those things we can kind of learn from them. You know, you're not sorry that you did it because it was in your experience at that time, it was what you felt like your path was leading you to. And we can't really judge anybody else's path. We are all on our own individual paths. We can't, nobody else can really talk us out of the things that we think and feel that we need to do. We just have to do the things that we are thinking and feeling and go for those things. And sometimes they're a mistake. Sometimes we do the wrong thing. Sometimes it turns out well. It's just we all have to run our own race. We all have to live our own life. So he may not be sorry for it. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily have to mean that he is a bad person. It doesn't have to mean that he is not loving to you, not caring about you. It just may have not been about you. Well, it's never about you. It's about him. So I think that's what it is. When you say that to yourself, you're saying it is a bad thing, but that is telling you that he expressed a need that he had in the moment, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you got to do it in healthier ways. That's all. That makes sense. All right, let's see. Angeli said, we told our grown kids because the youngest is still home and would know something was wrong. He's 16 and picks up on everything. So we felt we needed to tell the other kids in case our youngest needed his brothers and sisters to talk to. Yeah, I can understand that. If he was already there, he's experiencing it. You can't really avoid it because you end up, talking or end up talking loudly or arguing around him. And then he feels like he can't talk to anybody else in order to like sort through those feelings. I can understand why you did it like that. But yeah, if they're like grown and they're out of the house, I say leave it alone. But if they're grown, if they're in your house, you're kind of going to have to address it with them. Let them know, okay, look, this is what's going on, but this is between me and dad. This does not have to do with you. I don't want you sitting here stressed out about that. Peggy said, but his moment lasted 9 years off and on. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Sometimes we have things that are going on with us for long periods of time. People make the same mistakes over and over again. I don't know where we got the idea that, once you make a mistake, you don't make that same mistake again. That's insane. All the time, people make the same mistakes. All the time. Because whatever was going on that caused that first mistake didn't just go away. It's still there. It's still there. It's still part of their lives. It's still part of what's going on inside them. So it could be off and on for years. It wasn't my husband. Off and on for years. It was years before we could get to a place where I was like, okay, I can trust him. He is not doing any of this. But I didn't know at the time that he had bipolar disorder either. I had no idea that we were going in this cycle over and over and over again where he was doing the same thing over and over again. I had no idea that there was an actual cause behind it that didn't have anything to do with us, didn't have anything to do with my loving him, didn't have anything to do with him loving me. It had to do with what was going on inside his own brain. Does that make sense? I know, it sucks. Oh, it does. You're like, you're doing the same thing. People make the same mistakes over and over again. That's how we end up with people who have drug addictions and alcohol addictions. You keep on making the same mistake. You keep on making the same choice and doing something destructive. Lots of people do that. That's what happens in the healing. That's why I work so hard on telling you all what you can do to fix your own brokenness. Because what will happen is in the process of the healing, you will say, okay, I am justified in doing this. I am justified in hurting you in some way. And You can't convince yourself that you're not right about that. When you're in the midst of the pain, things make sense to you that wouldn't necessarily make sense to you if you weren't in pain. So that's what happens over and over again. You keep on lashing out at him, telling him, well, you're such a terrible person and you did this to me and you hurt me so bad and you should just be sorry. Doing that over and over again, talking badly about somebody over and over, that's an abusive thing to do. Talking badly about them, belittling them, blaming them, those are all things that they tell us are abusive behavior. But because we're hurting, we feel like, oh, well, I can go ahead and dish out a little bit of abusive behavior because I'm hurting at the moment. And that's fine for me to be able to do. And you're making the mistake over and over again because you feel like you're justified in doing it. And that's probably what happened with him too. You saying that makes sense? All right, good. All right, let's see. MJ said, hard to get people with bipolar or other to understand they need something addressed. Oh, yeah, for sure, MJ. That, we were having problems and, I wanted him to get seen. And he had actually started with psychiatrists who told us that he had PTSD. And I did not realize that at the time. But funny is, we were sitting in the doctor's office, and I'm a nurse. I had been a nurse for years. And I was sitting in the doctor's office with him, and he's talking to my husband, and he has hit on the fact that he's not sleeping. And he says to me, have you witnessed him sleeping? And I was like, well, he lays down with me at night, and he's laying there with me when I get up in the morning. But have I witnessed him sleeping? I have not witnessed him sleeping. I have not actually seen with my own eyes he was sleeping. And the doctor was like, that's because he's not. That's because he is up every night, all night. Blew my freaking mind. Blew my mind. How in the world can you be okay and do the right things in life if you're not sleeping at all and you're a little psychotic because of it? If you don't sleep for 3 days, that's all it takes, 3, you are technically considered to be psychotic, okay? They can hospitalize you, they can medicate you because you have not slept in long enough that your brain is not functioning properly. And that's how it is with people who have mental disorders. Their brain are not they're not processing properly. They're not functioning the way that they're supposed to. So of course they wouldn't know. So that at that point I had gotten him in to see the doctor because he hadn't been sleeping. He was erratic. He was angry all the time. Yeah, got him in to see the doctor, and then shortly thereafter he went to jail for something he didn't even do. But he went to jail behind that, and because he had been to the psychiatrist and the psychiatrist had just prescribed him medication, when he ended up going to jail, he had to take the medication. So that was the only thing that really got him all the way back to me. He woke up, like he came back to himself in jail. Like all of a sudden I could recognize him again. I was like, oh, that was very different. The person that got locked up is completely different from the person I'm talking to now because he was medicated and he was able to sleep for the first time in months. So yeah, people with mental disorders don't necessarily know because their brain is messed up. Their brain is not functioning the way it should be. And so of course they're not going to recognize that they need that addressed because they're used to living like that. He had no idea. All those years, they were just at that time medicating him for PTSD. And so sleeping and having the medication that he was taking was evening him out, helping quite a bit, but it wasn't the right medication for the bipolar disorder. But it helped get him to a place where he could understand that, oh, this is not normal. Yes, just because I've lived like this my entire life doesn't mean that it's normal. But, you have to find that out. If you've lived a certain way your entire life, it's very hard to get in, oh, it doesn't have to be like this. The same way you've lived your whole life and everybody has always told you had to leave after infidelity, and you came upon the idea that I don't have to. I do not have to continue to live that way. I can choose a different way to live. So it was hard. It was very, very difficult trying to get him in, trying to get him diagnosed. It probably was about a year and a half, 2 years later maybe about 3, when we actually found out that he had bipolar disorder. Before we were just working with the PTSD, but come to find out he had the bipolar disorder too. All right, let's see. Anything else? I think I got all the questions on the post. Yep. All right, let's see. Any other questions in the group? Anything else that you want me to talk about? Anything else you need explained? Anything else you're like, okay, let's fix this? You feel like you're pretty good now? We got a good understanding about whatever is going on with you right this second? I sure hope so, because I want you to feel better. I want you to feel in control. I want you to feel not so scared anymore, not so hurt anymore. And the more that you can understand and the further you can get down the healing path, the better it's going to be. But it's just, you just got to work on it. You got to be consistent. You got to be constantly reminding yourself not to get all wrapped up in his part, but to do your own part, to do your own work towards the healing, because you're the only person that can heal you. I promise you. You have all the power you need right this second to heal you. If you had left him, okay, if you had decided not to stay, if you had just walked out the door, this is still the same stuff that you would be doing. It's exactly the same thing. You would still have to heal. It does not matter that you're with him or without him. You would still have to do the same work that you're doing right now. So I want you to do that work. I want you to be consistent with it, and I want you to get past it as quickly as you possibly can. All right? And that's why I'm here. That's why I do this, so that you can get past it, so you can get to the next thing. You can get to the next chapter of your life, because you deserve to have the next chapter be a good chapter. All right? So we got to get out of the habits of hurting and get into the habits of healing. Okay? All right. Let's see. I think that's everybody. Nothing else that I see on the screen. No other questions. All right, going. All right, so give an affirmation for the day. I did my little shuffle here. Let's see what this message of the day says. Today, I am receptive. Oh, I like that one. Today, I will let go of the past. Look at that. I shuffled it. You just saw me shuffle. Today, I will let go of the past. I will live in the present, and I am looking forward to a bright future. I'm trying to tell you, these cards communicate with me, because every time I do one of these lives and I read one of these cards at the end, it always says something that I have said during the live. They're feeling me. I hope that you are too. All right, so today I am receptive. Today I will let go of the past. I will live in the present, and I am looking forward to a bright future. Today I am receptive. Willing to receive. Let's see. All right. Let's see. All righty. MJ, you're welcome. I'm so glad that you were here for this session. There are many people coming now. It's getting bigger and bigger every week, just like the group is getting bigger and bigger every week. And that is to let you know that you are not by yourself. You are not on your own in this. You are not the only woman who wants to stay after infidelity. You are absolutely not, okay? This group is almost 5,000 people strong now. My Love After Cheating group is almost 5,000 people strong. You are not by yourself. You're not crazy. You're not somehow damaged because you love this person and you want to work this out. There are plenty of people that love their person and want to work it out. That's why I started doing this, because I saw so many people were saying, yes, I love this person. I want to be with them. And they were staying, but they just didn't have any help to do it. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you that help. I'm here to help you figure out how to get past this to a good, happy place again. All right. So that being said, make sure that you reach out to me during the week. If you need me, go ahead and message me at Love Coach Dasha. You can send me emails. If you want to get on my email list and you're not on my email list yet, I'm about to start doing some more emails in this next week. So if you have not been on my email list and you want me to email you, go ahead and send me an email to info@lovecoachdasha.com, and I will get you on my email list. I will send you out nice stuff about how to work through this, about getting on the healing path, and If you haven't yet, go like, subscribe, follow everywhere on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Love Coach Dasha everywhere. All right. All right. That's it. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me for the Healing Hour Live. Be receptive. Don't forget to not do what the fear tells you to do. And I will see you again next week, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Healing Hour Live. I'll talk to you then. Bye.